stage, great mirror of the human mind, reflects with truth the features of mankind. With the completion of a 1.5 million project in 2003, the magic of the Georgian Theatre Royal in Richmond has been secured for future generations. The challenge was to restore the original Grade 1 listed building whilst making it fully compatible with the 21st century. The 18th century theatre has been refurbished and equipped to modern standards, retaining its original features. The addition of a complementary new extension to the original building has created a powerful mix of old and new that will excite audiences and visitors for many years to come.
Come and join us, because this is the moment when the theatre becomes the Georgian Theatre Trust back into our hands from Walter Thompson. And because we're so amazed and thrilled that we've actually got to this point this weekend, so we can have a show on Sunday night, we've cracked a bottle of champagne. Here's to the Georgian Theatre.
The theatre opened on the 2nd of September 1788, having been built in 3 months by Samuel Butler on a site leased from Richmond Corporation for 21 years at £5 a year. In the 1800s, audiences dwindled and the theatre finally closed in 1830. The corporation built a floor over the pit, level with the stage, and the pit and dressing rooms were converted into a wine cellar. The theatre became an auction sale room, then a corn chandler's, a furniture depository, and then, during the Second World War, a salvage depot. 2 Richmond men, David Brooks, the town clerk, and Edwin Bush, the history master at Richmond School, recognised the significance of the building and made plans to preserve and subsequently restore it to its former glory. In 1960, a trust was set up under the chairmanship of the late Nancy Lady Craythorne. An appeal was launched and restoration began.
My mother-in-law was the amazing woman who actually helped rescue it. She set up the original trust. The council, in its wisdom, realised that in order to raise that kind of money, it had to be an independent trust. And she then was the driving force. She found the historians and the people who would both fund it and come up with the information.
2 years later, the theatre opened.
It's the only theatre of its period and of its style to exist in the country. It's like the missing link. It's a courtyard theatre still, and in terms of today, it has this extraordinary ability to convey what I've described elsewhere as the essence of theatre, the communication between the performers and the audience.
After 40 years of continuous use, the theatre was becoming a little tired, and it was clear the time had come for a further makeover. The 1960s extension, housing bars and offices in a converted garage, was torn down to be replaced with an imaginative new building reflecting the 21st century. The completion of the roof was marked with a traditional ceremony.
The topping out ceremony is a very ancient ceremony which dates back to the time when most of our constructions were of wood. And because people relied on wood, they also revered wood. And the topping out ceremony would be the taking of the last branch of the tree and placing it on the roof of the building to allow the tree spirit to continue to have a home. And this is now a tradition within the construction industry.
The last slate was handed to site manager Phil Lawson by Lady Craythorne, the mayor, and the chairman of Richmond District Council.
Well, just hoping you're going to get it finished before I finish. It's not
I
going to happen.
know, it's
This is the second best thing.
you must come back
Yes,
in September anyhow.
yeah.
We have our official.
Oh, right. I feel very strange to be standing here after 11 years of a project which I saw originate 11 years ago. We're now almost there. Not quite, but almost.
Yes, it is real. It's here, and we've had such struggles over the months, and we still have concerns and struggles ahead, no doubt. But here it is.
It's really happy now. Can't stop now.
Meanwhile, the original 18th century theatre was being completely refurbished.
The ceiling distressed me immeasurably, and I thought, poor little theatre, we can do better than that for you. and so it was really research and my instincts and knowledge of the 18th century. A lot of it is gut feeling, you know. If you've been around for as long as I have, you know what feels right for a period and what doesn't, and with guidance from the trustees and the experts, this came together.
It would undoubtedly have been a scenic artist who decorated a theatre. The scenic artist would have been to hand and would be asked to produce some nice garlands or whatever, simple patterns of the sort of thing we used to painting for ornaments and scenery, and of course it would be the scenic artist who would decorate this. So it was thought it would be very advisable to employ on this two people who were basically scenic artists. I have done a little of this before. I have worked on the Theatre Royal Bath 20 years ago. I worked on as Pauline did, at the Shakespeare Globe Theatre in Southwark. But this is unique. The theatre is unique, and it needed a special approach.
It was a design job, which I undertook with a great deal of help from theatrical historians. And then it was put together. I put the design scheme together from that, but very, very closely historically researched so that it was as true as it possibly could be. We put the tracing on the panel, pounced it through with little holes and charcoal, and then started painting. The lettering I worked out based on, I don't know if you can see the Shakespeare, which is as early as we can imagine, perhaps original. And so I had a big blow up of that and worked out my alphabet from that. And every name was worked out on tracing paper before we ever arrived here, because you can't leave things like that to fitting into an 8-week schedule. You just can't.
Above the proscenium doors, the original 18th century decoration was still in such good condition it would have been wrong to paint over it, so a hinged flap was made to cover it and carry the new artwork. The new royal coat of arms was painted on the front of the gallery to replace the original one, which had been lost down the years. The coat of arms of the Zetland family was painted on the front of their box, and on the mayor's box facing it, the original 1788 Richmond borough coat of arms was so good that it was left untouched. As work progressed, a date for reopening could be fixed, and the box office was open for business once again. When the scaffolding that had hidden the new extension finally came down, the contrasting styles of the 18th and 21st centuries could be seen properly for the first time. Inside the original theatre building, work was also nearing completion, and in the understage dressing rooms, the original 18th century fireplaces contrast neatly with the modern plumbing of the present day. The machine room under the stage had also been restored.
Originally, this stage had 3 trapdoors, 2 corner traps and a grave trap. One of the corner traps has been restored and is installed in the machine room underneath the stage. When it's not in use, it can disappear into a pit in the floor and a board fits over the top so that it's out of sight. There was a sliding trap. It slid back, the actor was waiting on a platform and he was launched through the opening. It was a two-way thing though. They didn't only go up onto the stage, they could disappear down there as well. So in the right production, with 3 trapdoors, the machine room could be a very busy place. So we've got a monitor, we can see what's going on stage without having to peep through the curtains. The roller cloth or the act drop as they call it, with the Kewitt painting on it, is on a roller. Now it's very easy to put down because gravity takes it down. When you pull it up, to begin with it's quite easy, it rolls nice and easy, but the further up it goes, it gets more rolled onto the roller and it gets heavier and heavier and you end up struggling a bit towards the top. We've got another rope here that controls the main curtain. And again, gravity brings it down, but the gravity doesn't take it back up again. It's a bit of a struggle.
I think the art of going to a play is being lost, you know, in this day and age of, you know, DVDs and things like that. I mean, I myself am a very big movie freak, but there's something to be said about coming to the theatre and watching a live performance. There's something kind of magical about it, and this space is quite simply unique. It's sort of like you're not sat in a great big auditorium trying to see the stage. You are actually on the stage sometimes, and the type of performances that are put on here actually get people involved too. So it's, like I said, in this day and age, it's very important for us to keep that sort of history of the Playhouse, because it's a very big part of British history. I love it because it's a nice bounce between classic and modern. I don't think it would have worked if it had been too modern, but I think if we'd gone back in time and built a Georgian structure, it wouldn't have worked either. It's nice and classic looking, it's nice and modern looking, but it's also nice and simple looking as well.
The restored theatre is already being enjoyed by visitors and audiences alike. At a special evening to celebrate the reopening, the Mayor of Richmond and the Chairman of the Trustees were joined by civic leaders and celebrities for an evening of music and dance from the Georgian period. So the tragic muse can name without a tribute to Sam Butler's fame. Butler, great master of the Richmond stage, to please the mind, to captivate the age, well read in Shakespeare's and wide nature's page, his name shall live in Richmond's future age.
The realisation of this amazing project has been achieved with the support of very many people. It cost £1.5 million, and the money came from the private sector, from the public sector. We've had support from all the local authorities involved, as well as individual members of the community. The theatre depends on volunteers. It's got an active Friends organisation, and everybody who's been involved from the outset must now look at this project and think it was worthwhile. It's here for future generations. The magic of the Georgian Theatre Royal Richmond will live on.